Hello and welcome to Yen. My name is Curtis. Please find your way to a comfortable seat, close your eyes, and from here I just want you to take a brief moment to set either an intention or a dedication for your practice today. And at your own time, you can softly start to open up your eyes and we will set up for our first pose. So this one is called Recline Butterfly. Here I'm adding a little heart opener as well by using a block widthwise underneath my shoulder blades. So feel free to give it a try. Feet come in towards your hips, forming a diamond shape. And the closer you bring your feet in towards your hips, the deeper this will be through your hips and groin. And options with your arms, they can either rest along your sides or maybe reach your arms overhead, perhaps grabbing a hold of opposite elbow. Now the block here is completely optional. If you find it becomes too much, you can always get rid of it. Then from here, if you haven't already, you can close your eyes. I just want you to begin to focus on the sound of your breath. Start to notice your inhales, start to notice your exhales. Just notice the rise and the fall of both. Just setting aside anything that your day has brought you up to this point, and carving out the next hour just for you. And just know that everything else can wait until later. So if you're newer to the Yin practice, it revolves around three main principles. The first one is playing with your edges. So what I mean by that is I want you to find a spot where your body naturally wants to stop on its own. That's your edge. So you're going to hang out there until your body softens up and invites you to go a little deeper. So you can always take your time with these poses. Just taking any adjustments you might need to get as comfortable as you can. And then once you're there, I just want you to find some stillness. It's our second principle of Yen. So when you're able to find stillness in your body, it's usually a bit easier to find stillness in your mind as well. And then third principle, of course, is time. So with these poses, you can expect to hold them for a length of time. And the reason for that is to allow us to get deeper into the layers of our body. So when you only hold a pose for a few breaths, you're barely scratching the surface. The longer you hold the pose, the more you're going to start to feel. You'll start to get past your muscles into those deeper layers, your fascia, ligaments, and all that connective tissue that holds us together. So there's never any rush with Yen. It really doesn't matter what you look like in these poses. It's more so about how you're feeling. And sometimes with a stiller practice like Yen, it can almost be a little bit more difficult than a flow practice where we're moving around a whole lot. Because when we stay in stillness, there's really not a whole lot to distract us from being here with ourselves. So if at any point your mind really starts to wander on you, You can always just bring your focus back to your breath and use your breath as an anchor. Just know that it will always be there waiting for you right where you left it, and you can always come back. From here, just stay and breathe a little bit longer. Then at your own time, you can slowly start to make your way out of the pose. Just take your time to slide your block out of the way if you've got it under you. Just placing it off to the side. And you can take your knees together and take your feet out a little bit wider towards the edges of your mat, coming into a constructive rest pose. Perhaps placing one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And just notice how you feel once you come out of your pose. Take a couple more breaths here. And then at your own time, you can slowly hug both knees in towards your chest and give yourself a gentle squeeze. Maybe rocking from side to side a few times. Maybe starting to circle out through your lower back a little bit more. And then from here we'll move right into our next pose. So I want you to keep your right knee hugged in towards your chest and slowly extend your left leg straight out in front of you. This one is called wind release pose. So here I want you to try to soften your whole body as best you can. And after a while you might start to feel some length through the front of your left hip, getting into your left hip flexor. And with your right knee hugged in towards your chest, you might also start to feel a little bit of compression through the front of your right hip. That's completely normal. It's a really good stress for your body. And if you can, try to let all 10 toes relax. Maybe circle out both ankles a few times. And then just surrender into the pose and let it do most of the work for you. And just start to notice how this side feels. Just checking in and noticing where you feel it. Notice the intensity. If you've got a lot going on where you are, you're welcome to stay right there. If you want to make this a little bit more intense, then you can start to hook your right elbow over top of your right shin. Then from there, maybe grab a hold of opposite hand or opposite elbow to hug your right knee just a little bit closer in towards your chest. And if you do decide to go deeper and you find it just takes you a little too far, remember you never have to stay there. You can always ease off back to where you were. So from here, we're going to transition into our next pose. This one is called Half Happy Baby. So your right knee is going to stay bent. You'll reach your right foot up towards the ceiling. And then grab a hold of either the inside or the outside of your right foot with your right hand. So right knee is going to draw down towards your right shoulder, right armpit. An option to either extend your left leg straight out in front of you for a little more intensity, or you're more than welcome to keep your left knee bent with your left foot planted on your mat instead. So here in Half Happy Baby, you might start to feel a big stretch through the back of your right thigh, getting into your glute, your hamstring, your groin. But again, try your best to keep your upper body soft. Let your head relax. And from here, again, we'll transition right into our next pose. So you can extend your left leg back out in front of you if it's not already there. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee, and then slowly start to draw your right knee over towards the left side of your mat, coming into a gentle spinal twist. If your right knee doesn't make it all the way down to the floor, then you can bring the floor to meet you by using a prop. So maybe a yoga block, maybe a rolled up blanket, maybe a pillow. And if it feels okay for your neck, you can go ahead and turn your right cheek down to add a little stretch for your neck. And feel that gentle twist work its way through your spine, through your lower back, middle back, all the way up to the crown of your head. Softening as much as you can along the way. And at your own time, you can slowly start to find your way out of your twist. You can hug both knees in towards your chest and give yourself a gentle squeeze. And again, feel free to rock from side to side. Feel free to take a few circles through your lower back. Just take what you need. And at your own time, we'll switch sides. Just keep your left knee hugged in towards your chest and slowly extend your right leg straight out in front of you. Again, we'll start with wind release pose on this side. So again, perhaps let all 10 toes relax. Maybe circle out both ankles a few times. And settle into your pose. And again, check in with yourself here and notice what you feel and notice where you're feeling it. And this side could be a little tighter, could be a little softer. It really doesn't matter. But I just want you to start to notice those differences between your right and left side. That balance will come with time. Again, option if you want to take this side a little bit deeper, you can start to hook your left elbow over top of your left shin. From there, maybe grab a hold of opposite hand or opposite elbow just to hug your left knee a little bit closer towards your chest. And if it feels like you've gone a little bit too far, remember you can always go back to where you were. We're here a little bit longer. Try to stay if you can. And then from here, we're going to transition to half happy baby on this side. So left knee will stay bent, left foot will reach up towards the ceiling. Then you grab a hold of either the inside or the outside of your left foot with your left hand. Left knee bends down towards your left shoulder, left armpit area. Option again to extend your right leg straight out in front of you for a little more intensity. But again, that's just an option. If it's too much, you can always keep your right knee bent with your right foot planted on your mat. Just feel that gentle stretch work its way through the back of your left thigh, getting into your left hamstring, your left glute. And from here, you can extend your right leg straight out in front of you if it's not already there. You can take your right hand to the outside of your left knee and slowly start to draw your left knee over towards the right side of your mat, coming into your gentle spinal twist on this side. And again, if your left knee doesn't make it all the way down comfortably, you can use a prop to bring the floor to meet you. And if it feels okay for your neck, you can gently start to turn your left cheek down to add that little stretch for your neck as well. Take a few more breaths here. At your own time, you can slowly start to make your way out of your twist, bringing both knees back to center, hugging them in. And take your time here. Do whatever feels good in your body. Maybe circle out your lower back a few more times. And we'll pause in a symmetrical shape for a few breaths. So maybe coming back to that reclined butterfly with your feet together, knees out wide. Or if you'd prefer, take your feet wide and let your knees knock in towards each other. And then at your own time, you can slowly start to make your way over to your right side, pausing in a fetal position for a moment. And then from there, you can start to find your way up to all fours. Just taking a moment to set your foundation, shoulders over top of wrists, hips over top of knees, and let your toes point straight back behind you. So from here, we'll cycle through cat and cow a few times. So with each inhale, let your belly drop, hips lift, shoulders roll back, maybe look forward or up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, press down into your hands, round your upper back, and tuck your chin towards your chest. Just go back and forth a few more times with your own breath. At your own time, you can slowly find your way back to a neutral spine. Keep your hips stacked over top of your knees, and then slowly start to curl both arms straight out in front of you, coming into melting heart pose, sometimes called puppy dog pose. So a couple options here. You can either let your forehead rest down on your mat, or if it doesn't make it all the way there, again, you can use your prop to bring the floor to meet you. So maybe using a block, maybe a rolled up blanket underneath your head. So you should start to feel this through your upper body, getting into your chest, your shoulders. You might feel it through your side body as well. If at any point you start to feel a little too much through your upper body, you can take your arms out a little bit wider towards the edges of your mat. On the flip side, if you don't feel enough and you want more, you can take your arms a little bit closer together. And another option, if you want to get into your triceps while you're here, you can bend your elbows and bring your hands together behind your head. And maybe curling your elbows a little bit further out in front of you so that you feel that nice stretch in your triceps, the back of your arms, as well as your chest and shoulders. Again, wherever you are, I want you to come back to your breath. Nice steady inhales, nice steady exhales. Just taking a few more breaths here. Now, if you still got your elbows bent, you can slowly extend your arms straight out in front of you once again. And then from here, you can slowly start to shift forward onto your forearms, and from there, just lower all the way down to your belly and turn your right cheek down. And just pause here for a few breaths. And notice how you feel once you come out of the pose. Alright, so from here we'll continue to work through our upper body. Just keeping your right cheek turned down, you can go ahead and stretch your right arm out to the right side of your mat so that your right arm is in line with the short edge of your mat. You can keep your left hand planted in front of your left shoulder. And then from here you're going to press down into your left hand and slowly start to roll back, just until you feel a stretch through the right side of your chest and the front of your right shoulder. So for some of you, just staying here down on your belly is already enough to feel that stretch through your chest. But if you want a little bit more, you can start to bend your left knee and plant your left foot down behind your right leg, maybe pointing your left knee up towards the ceiling. If you decide you want a little more yet, you can bend your right knee as well and point both knees up towards the ceiling. If you need some support beneath your head, you can add a block there if you'd like. Left hand can either stay out in front of you, or you might choose to reach your left hand behind your back. Remember, it's all up to you. Just find an option that works in your body today. Just feel that length across your collarbones with each inhale. Try to soften as much as you can with each exhale. Just a few more breaths on this side. And whenever you're ready to come out, you can slowly start to find your way down to your belly. Stretch your arms and legs out behind you and turn your left cheek down. Just take a few breaths in between. Notice any difference there might be through the right side of your chest and the front of your right shoulder. And whenever you're ready, we'll start to work through the left side. So keeping your left cheek turned down, you can stretch your left arm out to the left side. So your left arm is in line with the short edge of your mat. And you can plant your right hand in front of your right shoulder. And again, at your own time from here, you can press down into your right hand and slowly start to roll back onto your left shoulder, just until you feel that stretch through the front of your chest, the front of your left shoulder. And again, option from here, if you want a little bit more, you can bend your right knee and start to plant your right foot down behind your left leg. If you want a little more yet, maybe point both knees up towards the ceiling. Again, just finding a spot where you feel enough through the front of your chest. Adding support beneath your head if you need it. Maybe taking your right hand behind your back if you want a little bit more. And come back to your breath. Nice steady inhales, nice steady exhales. We'll stay here just a little bit longer. And at your own time, whenever you're ready to come out, you can slowly start to release your pose and find your way flat onto your belly. Stretch your arms and legs back out behind you and turn your right cheek back down. Again, observe the difference you've created between your right and left side. Just staying for a couple more breaths. And from here at your own time, you can slowly start to bring your hands underneath your shoulders and start to shift your hips all the way back to your heels, finding your way into child's pose. Take your big toes together at the back of your mat. Maybe move your knees a little bit wider towards the edges of your mat. And just let your whole body become really heavy right here, right now. Letting go of all the work you've done up to this point. From here at your own time, you can slowly start to make your way back up to all fours. From all fours, step your right foot in between your hands. And we'll set up for lizard pose. So you can walk your right hand and right shoulder to the inside of your right leg. Maybe heel toeing your right foot out a little bit wider towards the edge of your mat. A few options here with your arms. So you might say with straight arms, you might add some elevation beneath your hands, so maybe your block. If you want to make this a little bit more intense, you might choose to come down onto your forearms, but that's just an option. You don't have to do it. And so here in lizard pose, you should start to feel a stretch through the right side of your groin and the front of your left hip, getting back into your left hip flexor. So I want you to scan your body from head to toe and see if there's anywhere you're holding on right now where you don't need to be. Then give yourself permission to soften. And give yourself permission to let go wherever you can, as much as you can. Whenever you're ready to come out, you can slowly start to find your way back to straight arms. Keep your hands on the inside of your right leg. And then from here, you can slowly start to shift your hips back and straighten out your right leg. And bend back into your right knee. And just shift back and forth a few more times, starting to release your right hip. So from here you can find your way into half splits, your variation. So option to keep your hands on the inside of your right leg. Doing so, you're going to feel a little bit more through your adductors, your inner thigh on the right side, as well as your right hamstring. If your hands don't make it all the way down to the ground, you can rest them on your block. And if you prefer more of a traditional half splits, you can heel toe your right foot in between your hands, and then fold over the top of your right leg from there. We're not here for long, just a few breaths. And then from here, you can slowly start to make your way out of half splits, finding your way back to all fours. And from all fours, just shift yourself back to child's pose once again, just for a few breaths. Letting go of the work you've done on the right side before we move over to the left side. And whenever you're ready, you can find your way back up to all fours. From there, step your left foot in between your hands. Then walk your left hand and left shoulder to the inside of your left leg, setting up for lizard on this side. It's again your choice. Maybe stay with straight arms for a while. Maybe take your hands up onto your block. Or Or maybe you start to take your forearms down to your block. And just check in with this side. Just feeling that stretch through the left side of your groin, as well as the front of your right hip. Again, wherever you are, try to let your head relax. Soften your belly, let your glutes relax as well. And imagine that you're sending your breath into wherever you're feeling the stretch. With your inhale, let. With your exhale, go. Whenever you're ready to come out, you can slowly start to make your way back up to straight arms. Keep your hands on the inside of your left leg. And from here, slowly start to shift your hips back and straighten out your left leg. And bend back into your left knee. And shift back and forth a few more times to release your left hip. And at your own time, you can start to find your way into half splits on this side. So again, your choice. Hands can stay on the inside of your left foot. Hands might come up onto your block. Or you might move into that traditional variation of half splits by heel toeing your left foot in between your hands, and then folding over top of your left leg from there. And try to let your upper body completely relax. And whenever you're ready to come out, you can bend back into your front knee and start to find your way back to child's pose. Again, letting go of all the work you've done up to this point. From here at your own time, you can slowly start to find your way back up to all fours. And from there, you can find your way onto your seat. So for our next pose, you will need your block. So just have it handy, and if you don't have a block, you can use a stack of books. And we'll set up for a supported bridge pose. So with your knees bent, you can slowly start to lie down one vertebrae at a time. And then when you're ready, you can press into your feet and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And take your block or stack of books and slide it widthwise underneath your sacrum, that flat bony part at the base of your spine. If you are using a block, remember there's 3 levels: the short side, medium side, and tall side. So just choose the one that feels best for you right now. And so if you are using your block, just to make sure it's in the right place, you just want to scan your body. So check in. If it feels like your block is digging into a vertebrae, that means it's going to be a little bit too high along your spine. If it feels like your block is digging more in towards your tailbone, it's going to be too low along your spine. So you want to find that flat spot in between where you feel supported. So you can always take your time to adjust. If you want to take your back bend a little bit deeper, you might start to reach your arms over your head. Maybe grab a hold of opposite elbow. And if you want to take it a little deeper yet, you might also start to extend both legs straight out in front of you, letting your heels rest down on your mat. If you find that gets a little too intense, you can always go back to bent knees. So from here, wherever you are, I want you to try to imagine that you're filling your body with breath the same way you'd fill a glass of water. So with your inhale, you're going to fill up from the lowest part of your lungs through the middle, all the way up to the top. And then as you exhale, empty from the top, through the middle, all the way down to the bottom. Do that again. Inhale from the bottom, through the middle, all the way up to the top. And then exhale from the top, through the middle, all the way down to the bottom. Keep going with your breath. From here, feel the front of your body slowly start to open up. And we'll stay and breathe right here a little bit longer. Inhale to lengthen, and exhale to soften. Just a few more breaths wherever you are. Then at your own time, you can slowly start to bring your arms back along your sides. Find your way back to bent knees. And with an inhale, you can press down into your feet and lift your hips up. Slide your block out of the way. And then with your exhale, slowly start to make your way down one vertebrae at a time. And then once you do come down, Your choice. Either let your knees knock in and take your feet out wide, or take your feet together and let your knees follow it wide. Just allow your spine to settle. Notice how you feel once you come out. Just try to resist that urge to do anything else right now. From here, it might feel nice to add in a few windshield wipers, letting your knees fall over to one side, back to center, and then over to the other side. And then from here, we'll get back into our hips, moving into thread the needle. Just keep your left knee bent, cross your right ankle over top of your left thigh, and then reach through for either the back of your left thigh or the top of your left shin, whatever feels better in your left knee. And then for a little more intensity, you can draw your left knee in towards your chest and use your right elbow to press your right thigh away from you. And then you should start to feel a bit of a stretch through your outer right hip. And try to keep your upper body nice and heavy. Nice steady inhales and exhales. And so from here, we're going to keep this shape, and we're going to move into a funny variation of a spinal twist. So you can release your left foot down to your mat, keep your right ankle crossed over top of your left thigh, and then with an exhale, you'll slowly start to lower your left knee and your right foot down to the left side of your mat. Stretch your right arm out to the right side, maybe look past your right hand. And if you find this variation of your twist is just a little too intense in your body, then remember, you don't have to do it. You can take your traditional spinal twist by stacking your knees one on top of the other, and then taking your gaze down to the right side. We're not here for long, just a few more breaths. And whenever you're ready to come out, you can slowly start to unwind and bring both knees back to center, maybe taking a couple more windshield wipers in between before we switch sides. And when you're ready, you can keep your Right foot planted on your mat, and cross your left ankle over top of your right thigh, reaching through for either the back of your right thigh or the top of your right shin, whatever feels better for your right knee. Gently draw your right knee in towards your chest. Then you can use your left elbow to press your left thigh away from you, creating a deeper stretch in your outer left hip. Again, wherever you are, try to let your upper body completely relax. Sending your breath into wherever you're feeling the stretch on this side. We'll hang out here just a little bit longer. And again, from here, we'll keep this shape and move into our funny variation of our spinal twist on this side. So start by releasing your right foot back down to your mat. Then with an exhale, slowly start to lower your right knee and your left foot down to the right side of your mat, perhaps taking your gaze over to the left side of your mat. And again, if this is just a little too much, then you can simply stack both knees. They'll lower down to the right side, and gaze will move over to the left side. Just stay and breathe. And at your own time, you can slowly start to find your way out of your twist. You can unwind your legs, perhaps taking a few more windshield wipers in between. And whenever you're ready, you can hug both knees in towards your chest and give yourself one more little squeeze. And from here, we'll set up for our last pose today, Shavasana, final relaxation. Just take your time here to get super comfortable, moving anything out of your way that doesn't need to be in your way right now. Maybe covering your eyes with something soft. Maybe covering the rest of your body with a blanket if you're feeling cold. And from here, close your eyes and let your eyes become really, really heavy. Allow the weight of your body to sink down into the space beneath you. From here, I want you to take a deep inhale through your nose. And with your exhale, open your mouth and sigh it out. Let something go. Do that one more time. Deep inhale through your nose. Full cleansing exhale out your mouth. Let your practice go. You've done the work. Now take these next few minutes to let your body rest. If you've got the time, feel free to stay and rest as long as your body needs. If you're ready to come out, you can slowly start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, maybe reaching your arms overhead and taking a full deep inhale through your nose, and a full deep exhale out your mouth. And then however you want to get there, you can slowly start to find your way up to a comfortable seat. Keeping your eyes closed, bringing your hands together at your heart center. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for choosing to take some time for yourself today. Namaste.